So Bill continues the group's knack for making history fun. How did you decide on Shakespeare as a subject?
It was a couple of different things. One, we were aware that we wanted to do a multi-character kind of caper comedy, and that has an awful lot of, you have to set up a lot of story, and so we sort of didn't want a character that you also had to set up to an audience, and everyone knows who Shakespeare is. So it was our director, Rich, who first suggested the idea of Shakespeare as a central character.
Yeah.
And in us thinking about the story, he's kind of a great person to pick, because people know what happened to him in his early life in Stratford, and we know what he went on to do in terms of his work, but no one really knows historically what happens between the two. So there's this little void, and you can kind of put anything into that gap, and no one can say that didn't happen. Although chances are that didn't happen, but who can say?
Indeed. Shakespeare's been done repeatedly, very popular protagonist. Did you have any trepidation in realising the Bard again?
Yeah, I think so, but you know, in Matt's capable hands.
Yeah, I think we just knew it would be a very different version of him.
Yeah, I mean, you just got to. I mean, at some stage, you just got to say, look, you know, we've got to go for this, because you know that, you know, once we come up with the story, thought that story's going to work. It's really fun. It'll suit the multi-character thing that we do, and it'll give Matt a nice challenge, and I think he.
And also, it's sort of not about. Yeah, he's done a fantastic job, but also because it wasn't about. He's a very talented man. I'm a huge fan.
Oh, I'm a big fan.
It kind of wasn't about Shakespeare to a degree. It's sort of about, you know, a hapless unknown who then goes on to become Shakespeare. So it's
very
sort
much
of
like Matt, really.
Yeah. It's about another hapless young man.
So how did you decide to put Matt in that role?
There were a few who really early on just jumped out at us, and that within a few lines you go, that feels like Matt. Croydon, idiot pictured here, really quickly we were just like, that's got to be Simon. And the same with Philip, King Philip. As soon as the first couple of lines, as we're writing a lot of the top, you know, we're always talking through the dialogue, and Ben just started doing a voice. And
I started doing a little character, which was pre-existing. I'd done years ago, a sort of Spanish rogue. So it was a sort of natural fit. So yeah, it all suddenly slotted into place. It was nice. It was nice. I doubt we'll ever have that ever again. Ever.
No.
Fantastic. With Bill, were you aiming for a wider audience or the younger audience, such as the Horrible Histories followers?
I think we sort of always looked at it from day one. We said, let's just make a comedy. I mean, to be fair, the producers on Horrible Histories always said, let's just make a sketch show. So we've never written anything where we're going, oh, well, an audience of that age will find it funny. We never try and second guess. We will write what we find funny. And thankfully, we're just childish enough that has also appealed to a young audience. But hopefully, you know, we wrote a comedy that equally appeals to our peers and older generation, and we just said it's a comedy.
And to my friend Piers.
Oh yeah, and also to actual peers. Yeah, he's a nice man, very talented author.
Very nice.
Do you have any other films in the works?
We do.
Is that is almost entirely what we're allowed to say about?
That's all we're allowed to say.
Ooh,
Historical, yes.
Can we say that?
Can we?
I don't know.
It's set in space.
Yeah, it's a James Bond film, but it's set in space.
It's set in space.
It's going to be great.
Moonraker 2.
Oh, exclusive. Was this the next logical step from Horrible Histories in Yonderland?
I don't know. We sort of everything's been based on our huge fear of not being able to work together anymore. And as soon as we'd sort of talked theoretically about maybe doing a film and maybe doing another series together. And then once we knew that Horrible Histories was coming to an end, which happened sort of a couple of series before it stopped, we kind of pushed forward with those, hoping that one or the other would pay off. But thankfully, you know, both the Yonderland and now this have come together. So, who knew?
Well, I didn't.
No, I didn't.
You've been likened to Monty Python.
Which is which is lovely.
Yeah, how do you feel about that?
Well, I think it's, I don't know where that came from, but I presume it's just, you know, the multi-character thing. And obviously that they are huge influence in, you know, my life growing up and the comedy that I wanted to get involved with. It's so flattering. I don't even know where to begin. I'm sure they're looking at us going,
we're fine about it. If I was Monty Python, I'd be really upset.
Really furious.
Who are these guys? Yeah. Pretenders.
Who knows? Yeah.
Damian Lewis.
Yeah.
Let's start that again. Damian Lewis has a hilarious cameo. How did that come about?
Well, It was a mutual friend of ours. We wanted to ask Helen to be Elizabeth the First, and we managed to get a script to Helen, and she read it and really loved it. And then their kids sort of started to pester Damien to take this cameo that we had at the front.
They knew by this point that we'd asked Damien it was going to be quite difficult with his schedule because he was still doing. He just finished on Homeland, was about to do Wolf Hall, and his children, their children acted as our casting directors and went, go on, Mum's doing it. Yeah. And so thanks to them for bullying him into it.
Yeah.
Because from the second they both stepped on set, they just completely got it. It was brilliant.